Okay, welcome back to One Piece Anime Re-Review, Part 37. More Dressrosa. Yep. Yeah, this will be the second of about 9 re-reviews in a row to deal with Dressrosa. Why? Because Dressrosa is 118 episodes. Now, this covers from the main anime, episodes 640 to 644. First question you might ask, is there any new characters who make their debut in these episodes? The answer is yes. Roughly about, I'd say, 2 that I can think of. Yeah, 2. One is Orbilis. Yes, this big, huge hulking guy. Hydra, the king of the giants. Yeah, he makes debut along with Rebecca's mother in a flashback. Yes, the first of many flashbacks. You're probably wondering why this arc is so long. Because about half the time, we're delving into the backstory of like every single character who appears in this arc who are not the Straw Hats. Yes, that is the reason why this arc is so long. Like, my god. Yeah, that is the simple reason why this arc is so long. Looking at the first flashback is not like a whole boatload of episodes. Nope, it's just one. Now, is there any, like, let's say, plot threads wrapped up by the end of these episodes? Well, there's one that I can think of. One really big one. Basically involves Nami's group. Yeah, where they finally follow up with the Goga character. Yeah, they fight her for several episodes where they all get turned into her like first she transforms the men's dormitory as basically her fancy artwork. Transforms a door, transforms a hatch. Eventually she transforms all the whole group, all 4 of them, where she takes them out for a while. Though her subordinates show up too. So Nami later makes her climate attack, so Nami tries to take her out with the climate attack personally, but she transforms along with the Sunny itself. And then eventually, of course, the woman is defeated by, of all people, Brook, via his singing. Yep, that's how she's defeated. So they try to put handcuffs on her, that doesn't work. Then they basically have her get whacked head by Momonosuke, and then she's chained up, and of course she's shocked once again. And that's it for her. Yep, this particular plot thread is the only major one wrapped up in these episodes. Mostly, anyways. We do get a chance to see the what was supposed to be the trade-off between Doflamingo and Law over Caesar Clown. Yep. Also, it's revealed why in the world what he became secret. Yeah, they finally revealed what the heck that is. Or apparently CP9 had basically had the whole thing be a lie. They abdicated the throne and gave position to the warlord. Yeah, it was nothing more than a lie. Yep, just so he can trick Law into handing over to Caesar. Which he doesn't. And they end up battling almost the entirety of these 7 episodes. Like, he basically goes to a tear throughout Greenbit. Like, oh my gosh, they tear out the place like freaking crazy. In the case of Rob and Usopp, they do wrap up a tiny plot thread involving them. Mostly them getting out of the Territory Kingdom, where they get out riding wolves. And I thought this was so hilarious. Of course, they walk along. And while the battle between Law and basically we have the Admiral throwing a bunch of meteorites. Yeah, that's his every power. He can summon meteorites from space. Law's like, how the heck is this even possible? Even though Flamingo was shocked to say this. Yeah, apparently his power is that he can increase gravity. That's his every power, which apparently also can summon meteorites for some reason. Yeah, this is never actually explained. Because, here's the thing, this is the only arc he shows that's off, because after this arc wraps up, he only shows up in relatively 2 story arcs. He shows up in Reverie, and he shows up currently in the current arc of the series. Yeah, only twice. And he's a big character. Yep. So they're battling for a while, they pin him down. Also, Law is officially stripped of position as Warlord. Yeah, position he only held for like officially one full story, one full story arc. Though it was actually first mentioned in Fishman Island that he got it, and then he lost it in this arc too, like roughly partway into, which is actually because because he admitted that he's made former lines with Straw Hat and Luffy. Meanwhile, though, you're probably thinking, does Zoro did they wrap up his plot thread? Yes, with him running around Dressrosa trying to find where Flower Hill is, they do eventually get there. Frankie and the soldier get there too. And in the case of Rebecca, we actually have the start of her plot thread here, where we see her flashback. We see her in her cab with her mom, with a third chair. Like, I wonder whose chair this was. Yeah, they don't reveal who the heck whose chair this is until like about halfway through this arc. We reveal who the toy soldier is, and then of course we have the night. Yes, the night where apparently King Roku, the king of Dressrosa, went nuts with his army and terrorized the country. Yeah, this particular flashback will later be expanded upon several times in this arc. It is the one flashback that gets heavily expanded upon. I mean, of course, they also get flashbacks to Law, to the Flamingo, like mostly a lot of the character, a lot of very big, all of the big characters in this arc. They give one for them, and there is a bit of flashback for Bartholomew. Yes, it's revealed via a retcon. Yes, a retcon, but there's this Oda retcon in this, though we can easily plausibly believe that he was actually there for this. Where back in the Rogue Town arc, basically, Bartholomew witnessed Luffy at the execution platform in that arc, which is simply put, that arc was simply meant to end the East Blue Saga. So technically, chronologically, that could have been his first appearance. I mean, it's easily possible he could have been in that crowd. I mean, yeah, they didn't show him per se, but in case you're curious though, did they make up that scene for the anime? No, that was actually in manga. So this is not basically Toei pulling this out of their rear ends, basically for this flashback via a retcon character. Yep. Also, he is shown to be very nervous whenever he's around Luffy and Zoro, though his plot thread does expand upon later. Frankie, of course, let's go with the toy soldier to this. We see the King Roku Resistance Army. Yeah, this is building up toward. This is the start of the build up of the building up to the big battle that happens in the second half of this arc, which takes up pretty much the second half of this arc per se. And you're probably thinking, okay, oh yeah, there's a funny thing with Robin, where the king of the Taratura tribe decides to come out of Robin's chest, and Usopp has a funny line. He goes, "You pervert, you perv, what are you doing in there?" And apparently Robin is got a shocked reaction in her face, but she doesn't say anything to the fact that the leader of the Taratura country is coming out of her chest. Yes. And this is not something they made for the anime. Nope. They did this after they ride in there on the 20-seat bus, which is simply on the back of a fox. Yes, a fox, a blue fox with a big tail that acts sort of like a backrest, basically for their because they're basically they're human sized. They can't ride on the bugs, so the foxes basically do, which they don't have a problem with it at all. And then they meet up with Zoro and Frankie to basically tie up their plot, which continues. Oh, in case you're curious, though, exactly like when did they wrap up the plot thread, which actually brought them to Dressrosa, namely destruction of the Smile Factory. That doesn't happen to the second half of this arc. That doesn't happen for quite a while. Of course, they also have in their plot thread about the princess of the Taratura country being where she was kidnapped, and one of the plot threads to basically have her get rescued. Yes, that is a plot thread they set up here. It's like this episode was meant to set up the rest of the arc itself. Mostly. But what about Luffy, the start of the series? Well, what does he do? Well, he finally gets the chance to have his battle in Block C. This takes up about a handful of the episodes, though it's a fantastic battle. We see basically various characters, like, now we do see the start of the battle of Block D. Mostly you see Block C here done no problem at all. Mostly anyways. Yeah, because Blocks A and B were basically done with in the first set of episodes. This one's all Block C. And next set basically do with Block D. Now, any noteworthy characters. Now, we have the gangster Don Chino. We see his flashback too in here. Yeah, Rebecca is not the only one we see here. We see Hit, we see Iz, we see Bartos. Cavish, no, not really. We see why he hates Luffy. It's because of Garp. So we have flashback went basically 30 years prior to events of the series. Though mostly if it was at the start of the series, it would be 28 years, but he made him to this point. Yeah, where you see in the flashback, he used to have a drill on top of his head. Where the heck this thing came from, no idea. Why doesn't his grandchildren have this thing on top of their head? Never revealed. Also, when Sai's brother gets beaten up, he apparently, despite the fact he is his brother, apparently when he became leader of the 13 leader of the group that basically his grandfather was in charge of, this gang, he apparently kind of all emotional attachments to him, but he does care about him as a subordinate. His own brother. Yes, this is how he was written in the actual manga. And in the sub, too, was written like this as well. So, if you're curious, though, the Funimation changed this for the dub. No, this is the same both in sub and dub, so no really major change there. Now, we do see briefly Ricky's face in this arc. We get a bit of revelation for him. We see he looks like he's a much older man. If you're curious, though, who the heck this guy is, I'm not going to reveal who he really is because they don't reveal who he is until a little bit later. Because it is quite something because, well, they reveal because Rebecca is the granddaughter of King Riku, she is booed heavily. Like she's a heel in a wrestling match, despite the fact she's a sympathetic babyface. So it's almost kind of like she's getting the John Cena treatment in a way. And Cavish, who comes in later, he has none of it and tells us basically to knock it off and cheer for me. But in the case of Luffy versus the Dawn, yeah, this is an excellent battle that goes on for 3 straight episodes. That eventually wraps up about the third to last episode of this batch, where Luffy apparently just gives up being his cover because he basically tries to maintain his cover of this match, and then basically because the Dawn knows who he is, he basically fights him for real, like fights him. Yeah, and of course the commentator, he is actually quite amazed with this match, and thanks to the Conqueror's hockey that both these two express. Anybody who doesn't have hockey is easily knocked, including some of the spectators. So, eventually Luffy restores the Dawn's drill. Yeah, after 30 years after basically Garp did it. Yeah, and apparently this drill was also the key to where his treasure vault, which is under a crystal. I'm like, okay. Like, if you get past this to your grandson, I'm sure Sai will like, yeah, I'm not turning my hand to a drill in order to open this damn thing. I'm using my own weapon on my foot. Yep. So, oh yeah, apparently in the flashback he still has a beard, but his beard is black. Now you ask, now, is he related to Blackbeard? No. It's just the same beard color. Except he's bald. Yeah, he's always been bald. Eventually, Luffy does restore the drill, thanks to his King Kong gun. And, well, the ring is destroyed, well, basically broken in half. So, apparently, according to the commentator, after Lucy wins the match, apparently it takes 15 minutes to fix this damn thing. Even though, by the look of it, it could take even longer. I'd say, well, based on technology they have here, I'd say at least a few hours, not 15 minutes. Yep. And then they introduced this, and of course in Block D is when they used Orbis the first time. Yeah, I already said he's an adventurer, despite the fact he's an actual pirate. Yep. And Cavish, of course, comes in on his horse. And of course he calms on the crowd, so there's that. Oh, and there's something weird that happens in this arc. Yeah, there's a couple really weird things related to this character, to Cavish, that are so bizarre. Like, he gets transformed, he gets 2 transformations in this arc. And both of them are so bizarre and come completely out of nowhere. The one actually is expected because it relates to the character Sugar. I won't spoil it here. I will spoil it later when it comes to those next set of episodes. But these episodes are pure fun, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I think that the whole entire voice cast is having such a blast. I would say outside of the Straw Hat crew, I would say the voice actors are having a lot of fun this arc. Matthew Mercer is having a lot of fun. I would say the guy who voices Doflamingo, he was having like the time of his life voicing probably one of his favorite characters. I don't know if it really is. He just having he seems like he's having so much fun voicing Doflamingo. The only actor I can think of who's having, I would say the one who voices Rebecca. I think she's doing. I mean, I think she's taking the role seriously. It's not like she's having a blast with the character. Like Doflamingo's voice actor basically seemed like he had missed a step. And I'm sure that Jerry Jewell, the one voices Caesar, he doesn't do very much in these episodes. Because they're like, Joker! Yeah, he calls Doflamingo Joker. His underworld alias when he sees him. And Fukuto is like, he called you Joker and he's your subordinate. He can go, Law, you're stripping your position. You're no longer a warlord. I'm like, okay, interesting. I mean, I love the humor bits they have in here, which I think is so hilarious. But yeah, this is great. I love it. And in the case of Rebecca's flashback, it's mostly like after the night where apparently her mother ran from the town, stayed in Flower Hill for a while, where she was saying that she went to town to get some food because apparently they couldn't go back to her place. So the soldier basically fails to protect Rebecca's mother. So he looks after her, and after one attempt to kidnap her, after several boys trying to hit on her, which he proceeds to beat the crap out of. Yes, boys proclaim her feeling like you try to give her love letters. Even though probably at this point she looks like she's about 9 or 10, I'd say. Though after the one kidnapping attempt, he teaches her basically how to fight with a sword. And that leads to present day. But before this, basically, she takes off because Luffy basically has got a bunch of attention from Bartholomew, from Cavish, from the Dawn, so she drags Luffy off. Of course, Luffy gets some food. She pays her with her money from the gladiator fights, and they come to a quarters area for the gladiators, which are like prison cells because basically it's kind of like a prison. And then basically, she tries to kill him, but he's like, nah, he just stops her really quickly because he's that fast because of his super speed, and then he basically gets on top of her. And I'm surprised she is blushing over the fact that Luffy, a guy who was roughly 3 years older than she is, because Rebecca's 16, and I'm surprised she's not embarrassed at seeing a guy who was basically around her same waist size sitting on top of her. And Luffy is not doing anything inappropriate. He's just sitting there eating his food while basically avoiding Rebecca. And she's like, why are you trying to protect me? He's like, I tried to kill you. And he's like, no, you just attacked me. You just tried to attack me. You didn't try to kill me. But he knew that she was a good person. Which, I do appreciate the fact that they actually started her development of this arc. Though basically the peak of her character comes toward the end of the arc. Though she does appear a few times after this arc and later becomes good friends with a couple of princesses who befriend Luffy over the course of the series, which I thought was a really good continuity nod. I do think Rebecca's a good character, and she's a very lovely woman for a 16-year-old. Mm-hmm. And, of course, she's a spitting image of her mother. Violet does appear in these episodes, but she doesn't do much of anything. Yeah, it's almost like her character just is done. She doesn't do a lot. We see brief cam by Baby 5, who appears for one episode, and that's it for this batch for her. Mm-hmm. I think it was anything else? No. It's just a really good set of episodes, and I can't wait for the next set, which come out February 16th. So as of now, less than 3 weeks away, which I'm looking forward to it. And now we'll basically release for double episodes for 655 to 6667. Yep. But yeah, that's it, Sick of You. Next one is a comic corner. Actually, two straight ones. First one is going to be a conclusion of one, or actually, they're kind of including both two trades, two runs. Next one after that will start of two brief runs. Okay, his next video. Bye.